listening to A Balanced Juggle, helping women find balance in managing it all while achieving their own personal goals. Hey guys, so welcome back. Episode number 5. Bring it on. Well, on this episode, I have some super duper exciting news to share with you guys. I either need a drum roll or, that angel where the heavens are opening, that angel sound. Oh, yeah, one of those. Because I'm here to update and share with you the fact that I lost a total of 16 pounds thus far. 16. Yeah, you heard it right. Since April. And the only thing I've done thus far is really walking a lot, 15,000 steps at this point, being a little bit more conscious about what I eat. I know 16 pounds, a lot of you out there are probably thinking, that ain't nothing, girl. And that's right. For some people, it is nothing. They could accomplish it within a blink of an eye. I, on the other hand, this is miraculous. I didn't even see this coming. I tried to stay off the scale as much as possible. I finally got the courage up to do just that, step on the scale, and I was down 16 pounds. I mean, oh Lord, I was feeling great. So here I am, 16 pounds lighter. And I'm like, all right, bring it on. Next goal, boom. What is it? And I thought to myself, while I have been conscious about what I eat, I haven't really been tracking it, if you will. If you listened to episode 1, you'll notice I'm thinking, who the hell has time for all of that? Well, guess what? I really do now. 16 pounds. I'm tracking. So yeah, I'm ready to track. Well, I was ready to track. This was about a week and a half ago. So I did what anyone else would do. Open your iTunes store, wherever you get your apps from, and look for a free app that has the best ratings. So I did just that. Side note, nothing's free anymore in any app store. There's something evil known as in-app purchases. And I don't know about you guys, it's especially more so in kids' games and apps, and a major form of investment in my household. Anyhow, what did I do? I ended up downloading the app and I did the in-app purchase. I got the whole thing to eliminate ads and opened up all of the features. So I was there. I was every meal, boom, track it. Banana in the morning, coffee, whatever had you. Had my phone with me. I was on it, in it to win it. I'm there taking time out every day to track and doing a great job at it at the beginning. And my husband notices and he's like, why are you tracking? You're doing so great thus far. What's the need? I'm like, good question. Because I have selective memory. And I will forget what I had during the day as much as I am conscious about what I eat. I will forget selectively that I had that snow cone with condensed milk. Yes, condensed milk. And don't hate, because if you're from Orlando and you're listening, go down to what was formerly known as Downtown Disney. I don't know what it's called now. And there is a shaved ice stall where you can order snow cones or shaved ice or whatever you call it. And one of the options is condensed milk. You need to try it, because if you haven't, you have not lived yet. Just saying. In moderation, by the way. So anyhow, back to the tracking. I'm doing it. I'm hitting my caloric sweet spot. I'm conscious. I'm aware, because awareness is the facilitator of change. I'm aware of what I'm eating, when I'm eating the most calories, where the adjustments have to be made, etc., etc., etc. And I'm doing great for a couple of days into the first week. Then I start to lose momentum because, one, it takes a lot of time to input what I eat. And let me explain. A lot of what I eat is home-cooked meals. We try not to eat out a lot. One, I can't afford it. It's an economic decision. And it's not even a decision, more so of a requirement. And then number 2, a lot of our home-cooked meals are more South Asian. But sometimes we have the curry. We have the dals, which is a lentil soup, or we have, food from another region, be it Greek, Mediterranean, or Japanese, or what have you. And I couldn't find all the ingredients, or I couldn't find that meal. I can't go on and just put in, hey, I've had a plate of, teriyaki something or the other, without having to choose the individual ingredients. And I didn't have the time to do that. So it became a burden. I was not able to sustain that and be successful with it, which was extremely disheartening. I started skipping. I started not entering. It was hard for me to put aside my day to then enter one line by line into the tracker. I stopped. It was horrible. I felt like I lost. I felt like I lost. So this brings me to what I actually want to discuss today on our podcast. I want to discuss how we can focus more on progress and less on perfection. While we all know and understand perfection is not something that's realistically attained, there is nobody that can be perfect. You can be great, you can perform long term, meet and exceed expectations, but to say meet and sustain perfection isn't exactly realistic. I started to realize that in some way, form, or fashion, that is what I was subjecting myself to in this health and wellness regimen in terms of the tracking. I had this idea that I expected of myself. I had this idea that it had to be a certain way. I needed to hit that number, and that is not the case. I don't need to hit that number. I need to have an awareness of where I'm at during my day so I can eat accordingly and then have a great big picture of my overall eating habits. But does it need to be definite? No, it doesn't. And is it the end of the world when it's not? Hey, guess what? No, it's not. The world will continue to turn if you are not exact with your caloric intake. So I started to research, of course, or just read a little bit more on focusing on progress, not perfection. I started to realize, at work, I'm always telling my teams, it's okay when you make a mistake. We have to make sure we learn from it and implement those changes to move forward. I've realized that I'm more forgiving at work with my teams than I am in my personal life and myself. And I started to realize I think we're all like that to some degree. And I started to think about those relationships that are within my life, my partner, my children. Am I subjecting my idea of perfection onto them? And I'll use my son as an example. He's a rising senior in high school. And, he's got his own vision in his head of what he wants to do, where he wants to go. And I support that, but at the same time, I feel that he could be performing at a certain level, which he is not. Now, is he flunking? No, he's not by a long shot. But is he performing at the level which I know he can if he utilizes himself the way he should, given where he's at? No, he's not. I started to think, I'm like, I need to cut back. I need to stop telling him this is what you need to get on the SAT in order to get somewhere. This is what you should be doing to be successful. Because I've realized in the past week, I'm screwing him and me and our relationship over. I am definitely going to make a greater effort as it pertains to my son to back it up and back it off a little bit. Does that mean to just leave him gung-ho and let it be? No, I'm definitely going to be a parent that is right behind him, have his back, and push him in the right direction. But I certainly will not be imposing my thoughts of what he should be onto him. It has to be up to him. And I know this may be obvious to many of you out there, and I thought it was obvious to me too, but it's not. And it wasn't until this last week when it came to tracking my calories did I notice it. Isn't that something how the most obvious things, when we come to realize it, how related it can be in other parts of our lives? So progress, not perfection. Why? Shouldn't we hold ourselves to a certain level of perfection? Air quotation marks going on here, guys. Shouldn't we strive for that? Shouldn't we strive for that perfection, that excellence? And the answer to that is no. No, we should not. Holding ourselves to a sense of perfection versus holding ourselves to a set of realistic standards are vastly different. And only one of those two actually leads to success. According to the World Health Organization, a record number of people worldwide are suffering from serious depression or anxiety that stem from the excessive standards that they hold themselves to and the harsh punishments they routinely engage in. We hold irrational ideals for ourselves. Those ideals then manifests into unrealistic expectations academically, professionally, and personally. I think many of us listening to this podcast can speak to this in some way or another. More recently, My tracking scenario that occurred these past few weeks speaks to this in volumes, frankly. I mean, I started off great, but could I hold and sustain that? Was it realistic? No, it wasn't. That's something rather small, but let's think about the bigger thing that we currently hold ourselves to. For instance, we hold ourselves sometimes to an unrealistic idea of what we should look like, and it's not really realistic for ourselves. For one, I'm the first one to put my hands up. I do that all the time. I have an idea of what I should look like in my head, and it's not exactly what I see in the mirror. Does that mean that, oh, well, screw that? That's not realistic. No, it's not. It just means that I have to rethink that image and turn it into something that I can attain and achieve realistically. Could I possibly get there to some degree? Yeah. Listen, will I be that Baywatch swimsuit model? Let's face it. I don't care who, what, where, when, and why, unless I've got Cinderella's godmother coming here to bippity-boppity-boo my backside. There's no way in hell, despite any type of workout, I am going to be in a Baywatch red swimsuit with big boobies. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Does that mean that's going to deter me from trying to continue to lose weight or be healthy? Or hell, fit into a nice dress and rock it like it ain't nobody's business? No, I'm probably going to do that. But I need to get over the fact that, you know what, I'm not going to be Baywatch. It's unrealistic. That is an unhealthy, realistic ideal of perfection. And I'm sure we all have, in some form or fashion, those unrealistic goals or unrealistic ideals in our head of what we should be doing, what we should be buying, how we should like. To further the discussion, the World Health Organization conducted a study where data from 41,641 college students were collected between 1989 and 2016. Levels of self-oriented, socially prescribed, and other-oriented perfectionism all increased by statistically significant amount. Well, what does this mean? This means as time progressed, we developed these unrealistic ideals that were unattainable for ourselves, led to these individuals developing senses of perfectionism that caused anxiety, stress, low self-esteem, and all of those things that we really and truly want to avoid in our lives. I think it's important for us to consider these, address it in our lives, myself included, top of the list, and also make sure, and this was a big lesson for me, make sure that I am not imposing that on those around us, be it my husband, be it one of my children, or anyone else. Coming up next, we are going to discuss how perfectionism gets in your way and how focusing on progress is key to achieving everything and anything you want. Hey you. Yeah. If you enjoy listening along to A Balanced Juggle, be sure to like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends, family, co-workers, any and everybody. I also wanted to update you guys. At the beginning of the podcast, I talked about losing 16 pounds, and I wanted you guys to know that those 16 pounds weren't lost on me doing something like super extreme. I'm not on an extreme limiting diet that, does things miraculously. I'm not. I'm eating regular food, and one of the biggest things and biggest contributor to my weight loss is walking. Nothing more, nothing less. I've been walking. I've been hitting 15,000 steps a day for the past, I would say, maybe month and a half, and the weight is coming off. But more so than the weight, guys, I have read this so many times all my freaking life, and I never realized it. It's like freaking medicine. Mentally, emotionally, getting out there and walking really centers you. Having that time with just you in your head, not obligated to anything external to yourself, is just rejuvenating. The weight loss is fantastic, but that in itself is just phenomenal. So I wanted to take some time to encourage you guys to get some sort of walking pedometer or wearable technology that can track your steps, because it's extremely helpful in creating an awareness on where you're at in terms of your activity versus what your goals are on a daily basis. And it really keeps you in check in terms of, listen, you've been sitting this long, you need to get up and walk around to meet your goals. And it's only in that awareness can we actually achieve. Finally, I wanted to give you guys an update on a debate that my husband and I had a few weeks back about a certain hashtag being printed on some swag that I intended to purchase for our podcast. That hashtag was #ABJ, which my husband was totally and utterly against because he thought that represented something else. Well, I got a few responses here and there through our various outlets, and it seems like we're a go. Everyone's for hashtag ABJ, so I'm going for it. I am going to have some swag created. That swag will be available. You just have to keep listening to get more information on how to get your hands on that hashtag ABJ Swagalicious gear. So stay tuned. All right. Now back to how perfectionism gets in your way, and even more so important, why focusing on progress is key. So let's start on how this perfectionism gets in our way. I think it's obvious just based